that we, real life alter egos, and really what you're describing is there's your Clark Kent persona and your Superman persona.
True.
And I think that the three of you are basically did what Tony Stark did. And you outed yourselves. Yeah. And that for you, it's still, you're still trying to keep, this is the first foray into figuring out how to make it work.
Well, is that something about sort of the way the culture has gone? Because when I used to talk about this, people were like, oh, really? You do this? And now we're like, oh my God, you do this? That's awesome. That's so cool. What do you dress as? So how has the culture changed in maybe the past 10 years? Or has it?
I think it has to an extent just because of the, superhero films that we've had in Hollywood the past couple of years. I think that's made a huge difference. Even just for people getting into cosplay who, beforehand might not have even considered it and then go, oh, well, that's a kind of cool thing to do. Maybe I'll try that, But I think there's still a ton of people out there who would think we're absolute freaks, for doing this.
They're crazy.
Well, obviously, yes. We're the sane ones. But no, I mean, my podcast co-host Alan Kistler says all the time he runs into people who still don't know that Superman is an alien. So, that's what you have to consider. We're in this world where we take it for granted,
I just immersed myself in it. All of my friends are into it. Even when I worked at Microsoft, I didn't care about who knew. I showed up to work dressed up as a pirate more than once. I was just the guy that dressed up as a pirate. Although I did kind of have that I am Iron Man sort of thing, and it's very liberating if you can do that. And then I'm aware that it's pretty rare for me, but it is entirely my world. If you take a scroll down my Facebook page, it's every other post is someone building a prop and someone building a costume, and it's very satisfying for me. If you do ever get to that point, it's really cool.
So have you guys found, I don't know how much you guys have talked to other cosplayers, but in terms of gender bending, I mean, have you gotten more flack about that? Because I kind of think that's cool. You see Lady Vader, you see, I love that. So, but do you hear sort of a backlash about that?
I think there is to an extent, but I think that the gender bending thing, a cosplay is fashion. I mean, it just is, and I think it's almost like a fashion trend that's just, people always did it, but in the last, year or two, it's gotten really, really big, and it's just like any other, fashion statement now. Everyone wants to do it, but then it almost goes too far, and people are like, oh, you're just, you're another one of those,
Well, do you think video games have had anything to do with that? Because, I think with video games, we've sort of progressed to the point where a large number of them have let you customize whether you're a male or female. And so do you think that's affected cosplay?
I don't think it's a large enough number yet. Agreed. So I think it's an awesome thing to be able to customize your character, because when I play a video game, I want to feel like I'm the character. And it's just another fun aspect. Like, oh, well, I can be a girl that looks like me and has an awesome voice. Fantastic. But I haven't seen that much flack. I think one time someone came up to me and was like, Shepard's a dude, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I mean, sure, your Shepard's a dude, I mean, come on.
People say that to me, the same thing, only the opposite. Shepard's a female, man. But you can't win.
So I want to ask about Rule 63. Who would like to explain this?
It's the gender bending rule, correct? Yes. Well, I mean, it's if there's a male character, there's a female version of it somewhere. So Rule 63 cosplay would be cosplaying as a female as a male character, or female as a male character as a female character, which I'd like to see more of. Males dressing as female characters.
I've seen quite a few actually today. It was more than I've seen at any other con.
This is New York.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
I was just thinking about the gender bending issue, and I was thinking about the courage. And I think, people don't really understand, people who don't cosplay don't understand cosplay. And I think cosplayers dare to sort of violate certain social norms by cosplaying. and by being fans in a public way that's not normative. So if you're a football fan or some kind of sports, I don't do sports, some kind of sports fan, you wear your,
Jersey.
Yes, thank you. Or the hats, or whatever, the accoutrements. You dress, it's sort of a costume in a way.
True.
And
I agree.
cosplayers create their own team and dare to be different. And so I think gender bending is just on this continuum about creating their own social norms.
Well, when you're doing something like sports, I mean, you have, say you wear a jersey. I know nothing about sports, so please don't judge me. But if you do, you have a group of people who will immediately recognize you and say, oh, yeah, we're the same thing, or I don't like you, or whatever. And so with cosplay, you have that largely at cons. So, I mean, is there anything that you would say grabs you about people who cosplay outside of cons, at Ren fairs, at smaller events?
I do.
Kind of hard to pick out if they're not dressed up. We should get hats. New line from Punished Props. That would be the official cosplay hat.
I am a cosplayer. Special symbol, you only, it's like an inverted triangle or something. I would actually be curious to hear from you because I've also interviewed some cosplayers in great depth, and often they're very psychologically insightful. I've been really struck by that. But one of the things that I'm struck by is the sense of community and how unbelievably important that is. It is about creating your team,
Yeah.
and I just wondered if that was true for you.
I only started, I went to Ren fairs and stuff with my friends because we had an amazing Ren fair growing up. Yeah. But the last 3 or so years I started doing cosplay because my friends all wanted to do it. And we did 6-person group cosplays, which was very satisfying. It was really, really cool. We did Team Fortress, we did StarCraft, we did X-Men, but people started orbiting around us and other people and getting sucked in. And then I went to Dragon Con and everything changed.
Dragon Con does change everything.
And the community aspect that I ran into there, and this was just recently, was only my second year there, but it was incredible. Everyone was there was a lot of mutual respect going around. There was a lot of pouring over each other's costumes. And in the time between cons, we were on Facebook sharing what we do, getting to know each other. The community thing is huge. It's why I've done it. It's why I've gotten where I am.
Well, here's a big, giant elephant in the room question. A lot of cosplay for females is rather scantily clad. Now, I've done it. I know most of us here have done it. Weigh in on this because people freak out on both sides. I think
Just wear what you want. I mean, if you want to wear that, then wear it. If you want to be that character, then do it. I mean, it's honestly, just because you're scantily clad doesn't mean you're slutty. That means you're dressing as a character you want to be.
Please clap for this.
A few weeks ago, I was in a parking garage in a leotard with a hole in it, pair of boots. I mean, I was wearing just a leotard in a parking garage. I mean, and I thought to myself, if I weren't playing this character, if I weren't cosplaying this character, I would not be in public in a parking garage with all these cars driving by me and all these people walking by in just, this leotard. And I think it goes back to what Robin's saying, that I'm only allowed to express myself in this way when I'm cosplaying or when I'm playing certain characters, these fictional characters or these characters that I'm a big fan of, within this context. Then the rules say I'm allowed to do it. But there are other times in my life, in my career, where I can't do that. I'm very limited. I have these strict guidelines about how I should be and how I should act. And so again, I think, I agree with Holly about, you should be able to do what you want. And this is a way that I can do what I want.
Well, what do you think that says about society?